Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Master Your Coaching Biz podcast. Today we have Stephanie Benedetto at the Awakened Business, and she helps transformative, I can't say that word today, transformative coaches, healers, and entrepreneurs unleash their heart's message to create soulmate clients with playful unmarketing. Welcome, Stephanie.
Oh, thank you, Cheryl. I'm thrilled to be here.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit more about yourself.
I am a playful unmarketer. So what I do is I help coaches and thought leaders and healers. I end up working with a lot of therapists, people with a vision of change for the world, a passionate vision of change, the healers, the helpers. I help them to create a business that not only creates deep impact, but also feels joyful, feels fun, including this thing that we call marketing. And that's why I talk about unmarketing, because typically these people, these helpers and healers, do not like what they think they need to do in order to grow a business. And the message of mainstream marketing and business doesn't fit them. So I help them to really discover for them what is natural and authentic as far as their way of sharing what it is they do, so that it actually feels good and works at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. So you've mentioned on marketing. What exactly is that, so that everybody knows what we're talking about here?
So it's completely made up, and I'm pointing that out on purpose. Unmarketing is made up because the way we think about marketing is also made up. Now, obviously, there are certain activities that we can agree on that we might put into the marketing category, but the made up marketing I'm talking about is the way we think about it. Oh, marketing means I have to be salesy and pushy. It means I have to be visible and put myself out there. And it sounds very either pushy or vulnerable, or, all that stuff completely made up, not true at all. Are there certain activities that you'll probably need to do in order to meet and create an invitation and share your message with people who will become your clients? Yes. But does it have to look like that kind of made up marketing? No. So when I talk about unmarketing, the people that I meet with, the coaches I'm talking to, the first thing I say is like, okay, stop marketing your business. You just don't do that anymore. And they're like, really? I don't have to market? I'm like, yeah, not the way you're thinking about it. Not at all. Let's just go to the heart of your message, what you love to do, and then we'll think of the joyful, easy ways for you to share it. And anywhere it doesn't feel that way, we're going to look at it so that we know we're coming back to what's really at the heart of what you have to share, and not going into this made up thing called marketing, which we hate, right? You actually don't have to do any of that. There's no rule about what it needs to look like. And you can find your own way. It's just you, your message, and the people you help. That's it. Let's stay with that.
Yeah, that's interesting. So typically the strategies that we learn are action-based, and it's all about getting visible because, kind of, if you look at it, it kind of makes sense that people have to be able to see you, but there's absolutely other ways for that to happen. So I like that. I like that idea. When you are working with a coach, and you do tell them that, mm-hmm. What is there, like, what is the reaction that you get from them when they kind of understand that they don't have to do it the traditional way?
Well, first of all, there is relief and curiosity, usually with the people who I'm talking to, the people who will resonate with my message, which is not everybody, but obviously, clearly not everybody. And they go, unmarketing, tell me about that. What is it? Because I hate marketing. I don't want to do it. Let's unmarket. What does that mean? And so when I tell them this, like, stop marketing, they're like, oh, they kind of take a sigh of relief. And then they're like, well, now what do I do? And so this is where I would say to them, what's happening for you? What do you love? What do you love doing? Talk about that. Start to get the energy of it. Like, oh, well, in coaching, a lot of times, hopefully, coaches love coaching. Right? I hope you love it. I hope you love what you do.
Absolutely.
So tell me about that. What do you love about that? So how do you love to share it? Well, sometimes it's actually doing coaching, and I love to like share it with people. Sometimes I like a lot of my clients are also writers and teachers. So they have a message like, what is it that you're doing in your coaching? What is the transformation that you're helping people to have? What lights you up? Who do you love doing this coaching with? And we start to explore that. And the seeds of how you share it are always there because everything happens from right now. So for example, I'll give you a specific example. I was talking with a coach recently who works with women, and we actually had a really creative conversation about like, okay, there are no rules. How would you love to share it? Like I'm talking about none, not just in this physical reality. Like there are no rules. Like you can get on a spaceship and fly to another planet and like break out of this limited idea of what's possible. And we come up with this metaphor. So she was saying, I want to share my message like a vibration that goes out and attracts people. I was like, okay, so that's the energy of it. Well, where's the vibration for you? She does channeled things through, she does channeled readings from plants and things like that, which is obviously a little bit out there, but it's authentic for her. So let people have an experience of that. You know, there are a million ways to do it. You can create videos, you can do audios, you can come on podcasts like this. There are all kinds of people who are open to kooky things in business on podcasts, you know, that's one example. Or someone really loves to, like sometimes people really love a group. Some coaches love groups, others want one-on-one. So why not create a group? Like, and do a group experience. You can take people through a group. You can do it free or low priced or something. It's fun to do. Like let whatever you do to share your business be as joyful as everything else in your business. So what would let it be joyful? And there are two parts of that. The first part is choosing to do things that light you up. If you hate Facebook, don't do Facebook. If you love Instagram, do Instagram. If you want to do podcasts because you love to just speak, do podcasts. There are so many different ways. So choose that. But then the other piece is showing up in love with what you do, no matter what it is. And that seems like, what are you talking about? I'm going to show up and do my taxes like I love it. Because that feeling is created inside of yourself, it's absolutely possible. And so we find the play. And so it's a very individual journey, but the seeds of it are always right here. And I'll tell you, it's like happening right under your nose and I can sniff it out. So it just starts with, what do you love and how would you love to share it?
Yeah, I like that. So if they hate marketing, but you're helping them to see like where they can show up for themselves in an authentic way, how would you help them to really define like not marketing, but still getting people into your program?
Yeah. So let's see. If you're coming to me and you're saying, I want to get people into my program, but see right there's something about get people into my program. It's like, I have to convince them to do it. I have to convince them to show up. It feels icky. Like in me anyway, I'm just speaking for myself. I'm like, that doesn't sound like fun. What would you love to create as an invitation for people to join you in this program that you'd want to create, even if nobody says yes to it, because it's joyful? Let's go there. How can we share that? So instead of like, oh God, I've got to do an email autoresponder and write 5 things and send them out. Like, don't do that. Just don't do that to yourself. Instead, you know, it often starts with being creative and even a little impractical and fantasiful. And then from there, we can bring it down to reality. We can ground it down, but we've got the right energy. It's got to feel, it's got to have the right feeling. So I may have gotten away from that question. Feel free to ask me a follow-up here, Cheryl, because sometimes I'm going out there a little bit.
No, so I'm just, okay. So I was just kind of saying, if they hate marketing and they want to create a program, or they have a program that they've created, and I use the word get, so to get people in the program, but if they want to invite people to share that experience with them, how do they do that? I mean, is that the right place? How do they do that?
Yeah. So it's like, the first thing is, what are you inviting them to? So this is something you're creating. It's like a party. Okay. It's an event. What's going to happen there? Who's coming? What will they experience? How will they feel? What will they get from it if there's a tangible deliverable? And there doesn't have to be, by the way. A lot of people show up why do you show up to a party? You might show up to a party because you want networking contacts. That's reasonable, but you might show up to a party just because you want to have a good time. So what are you inviting them to? Okay, get really clear on that. Is it something that you want to be at? Like, create it in such a way that you're lit up to be having this event or party you're inviting them to. And then how would you love to share that? When you come from that space, it's not hard to write something about this, like write a letter. Dear whoever your ideal client is, like think of one person, one specific person you would love to have at this party in the metaphor we're exploring. Mm-hmm. I'm having a party. Here's what it's about. I'd love for you to be there. Here's why, because I see you struggling with this thing in your life. And I have a secret I want to share with you. It can be a lot better. It can be a lot easier. Your life can feel inspiring again. Here's what we're going to do at the party. Here's who's coming. Here's why I think you'd be perfect for it. And here's what to do if you want to join me. If there's a price involved, it's really that simple. This could be a video that you make if you like that medium. This could be a Facebook post. This could go on your landing page. This could be something that you start talking about in conversation. Show up in, one of my favorite ways to connect with your ideal client is to just go to places where your tribe, the kind of people you love hanging out with. So this is not about customer avatar. Like, forget all of that crap. If you're a new coach, you probably don't know that yet anyway. Who do you love hanging out with? What communities light you up? Go there, be yourself, and get engaged. When you're being you, doing what you do, people are going to be drawn to you. It's not about being visible in a way that's not you. It's about being seen and known by showing up as you. And in those communities, you can talk about what you're doing. You can start saying, connecting with people. Some people you might have a little quote unquote networking call, but it's not artificial networking. These are people you just want to talk to. Like, tell me about what's happening in your life. I want to share what I'm up to. I have this adventure at this party that I'm inviting to. And I'm using these words deliberately because they're so much more fun. And they get us out of this box of thinking about, I need to have an offer and it needs to be targeted to my niche. And all of these things that's the made up stuff that can be useful as long as we don't have this made up thinking about it. So I use different language and I use different metaphors to sort of break us out of that. So was that a better answer to your question?
Yeah, no, that was great.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. Can you have a successful business without social media? Because you can do all that, but how are you getting it out to people?
Yeah. So this is perfect. And I absolutely love this question. I had this exploration myself a couple of years ago. I just started thinking about it because I met so many people who were, I'm just going to say it, they were whining and complaining about Facebook in particular. And I hate this stuff and I don't want to be on social media and it makes me feel this way and it makes me feel that way. And I started thinking, like, do you have to do social media? Do you? Now, personally, I never felt that way about Facebook. There's certain things I didn't care for, but I didn't hate it. It was cool. I met so many amazing people through Facebook over the years. I had clients and partners and friendships develop because of it. But I started talking to people and doing a little research myself. And I called it my social media unmarketing experiment. I love making things playful, right? This is how I roll. So I started talking to people who weren't using social media or who were limiting the way they use social media. And I've written some blog posts and articles about it. And I started to see that, yeah, it actually is possible. And there are people who are doing it. And there's one person in particular, and I'll put him out there because there was a beautiful presentation that Bradley Morris of Magic Media did with Tad Hargrave of Marketing for Hippies. Two of them partnered on it. I've since connected with both of them. And it was called Life and Business Without Social Media. Now, Tad still uses social media, but Bradley has been off of all social media for 4 years and has grown a media company where he creates videos and does product launches for people. So how the hell does he do it? So he shares in his presentation a lot of great specific strategies. He does it primarily through partnerships and through networking. But Tad Hargrave talks about something called hub marketing, which is connecting with the influencers, the places where your ideal clients hang out, and going there to those communities to get an introduction, a warm introduction to those people. You don't have to use social media to do that. It's about one-to-one relationships, like just what you and I are doing here, Cheryl. So I was inspired by Bradley, spoke to Tad, learned more about what they were doing. And, within a couple of weeks, I was like, I think it's time for me to stop talking about leaving social media and do it. And so I said, okay, I'm going to do an experiment, 1 to 3 months. What's going to happen? And what I saw was that, and now it's been 7 months. My business has not dried up. People have not forgotten about me. But I had to do other things. That's the key. Like you can't just say, I'm not doing social media. If that's how you've been finding clients, I mean, that's just dumb. Okay. That's not a smart thing to do unless you're going to do something else. So I noticed that without my energy on Facebook, which is where I was primarily, it naturally started to shift to other places. So I revitalized my podcast and started reaching out to people with an inspiring audience or community and bringing them into my podcast and inviting them to introduce me to theirs. Some of those turned into workshops that we partnered and co-created together. Tad Hargrave was one of those. I invited him in to do a workshop, and he brought a couple hundred people onto my email list to attend the workshop that he did. And he's a beautiful, generous person, by the way. I've done other workshops like that. So I started making these connections there. I started getting involved in communities off Facebook where my people are hanging out. Now, these are just people I just like to hang out with. It's not about being prospecting. These are not my clients. They're just friends and colleagues. So I hang out in communities of coaches, and I do what I do naturally, which is just share and listen and talk and help people. And they see me. They respond to me because I'm just being me. I share stories a lot of times in these off Facebook forums. People have found me. Now, these stories, by the way, Cheryl, have nothing to do with business whatsoever. Nothing. I call them my wild creation stories. And they are more like spiritual teaching stories. But my kind of people like those stories. And they'll end up getting shared in a forum. One of my mentors read one of my stories on his event that he was running. They get shared on social media. People encounter them on my podcast or other people's podcasts, and they follow me back. And they see that, oh, what is she doing? She's an unmarketer and a coach for coaches and entrepreneurs who have a changing. Wow, this is interesting. I can do business my way. And they end up contacting me because of a story that had nothing to do with business. So this is an example. It's not a formula. It's not cookie cutter, but it's an example of what happens when you show up as you, doing what you love to do anyway. I mean, I love writing those stories. I didn't write them to get clients. I wrote them because they were in my heart to write. And so whatever it is that you joyfully do anyway, how can we let that be the way that you share and connect with your clients? That's it. Get as clean as possible. No strategies and tactics unless it facilitates that.
I like that. So it's kind of like, I talk a lot about building authentic relationships and really getting to know the people around you. And like you said, it doesn't have to be your ideal client. You can build community. You can be part of other people's communities, and that can look like whatever. It doesn't have to be online. It could be offline. But yeah, getting just people knowing who you are, what you stand for. I'm a big believer in authenticity as far as your belief systems. I think the people around you should know what your values are and your belief systems are. And then the people that are attracted to that are just going to be naturally attracted to you. So I do love that. I think that's a great. Now I'm personally, I work with clients on social media. So I'm
not saying there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
If you love it, if you like it, even do it.
Yeah. But yeah, I can see that. I can see that can definitely be, I mean, if you look at, especially for me, when I was in corporate world and I was in business development, I mean, we didn't go on social media to do that, right? I mean, we actually knocked on doors or knocked on businesses and, went in and met the business owners and had lunch or whatever. So you can definitely take some of those same principles and apply them here. You don't have to do it on social media. So I totally get that. And I know that there's some people that are listening, because I have a couple of introverts that are clients or previous clients that would love this. They would be like, yeah, I can do that. I can just be myself somewhere and not have to worry about like doing a Facebook Live or a LinkedIn Live to get clients. So I love that. How about if somebody has a strategy that's, say they believe in going on social media, but it's not working, you know, how can they use some of these principles to develop that kind of, develop that muscle to do things more about relationship building than worrying about getting visible?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love it. So the first thing is to think about, like, I love starting with this simple exercise that I kind of mentioned already, which is writing a love letter to the one person. Like, think of specifically, it might be a client, it might be someone you'd love to have as your client, it might be a friend or a family member that you know who you'd love to help with the thing that you do, because you see them like, oh, I just wish I could do my thing with you because it would be so fun and inspiring for me. And I know you get so much out of it. So think about that one person and write to that one person from your heart and see what comes out. I mean, that's the kind of thing that moves people on social media, not the sexy, bullet points and benefits. And I mean, yeah, that gets our little greed sensor going, like, oh my God, you're going to teach me the 10 strategies or how to create 100 clients in the next 5 days, or whatever it is, right? Like, oh, I don't even look at that stuff anymore because it's so freaking hypey and I'm so done with it. And sometimes there's actually value there, right? But if somebody says, I'm going to give you an example, are you ready to step into the wild, extraordinary woman you are? Whoa, like something about that. If that speaks to me, it's not going to speak to everyone. It's only going to speak to someone who would like to be a wild, extraordinary woman. Would you love to have a business that you love sharing as much as you love, like that, take what love, like fall in love with your business as much as you are with serving your clients. I mean, that's going to speak to a very specific person, because you can have that. Like, I see you trying so hard to do your business by the rules that were made for somebody else, and it doesn't fit and it doesn't align. So like coming back to the heart of your message, and then you can fill in the logical pieces. Like, who are you talking to? Where do they live, online or offline? Like you do need that substance, but it's the heart that people are ultimately responding to. So another thing, I liked what you shared, Cheryl, about, people know your values and what you believe. So a good place to go is to look at, what do you believe about what you do that is contrary to most of what your industry is doing, or it's different, right? Or another way to look at that, if that doesn't come to mind right away, is, what drives you nuts? What kind of pisses you off in your industry when you see it? Talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
It helps people know what you're for and what you're against.
Yeah. And that kind of goes along the lines of conviction marketing, which is something that I've just started using with clients. So I like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking at what are the things that you don't like? What are the things that, like you said, piss you off, or, make you sad or whatever. And then share that, right? And see what there's other people out there that are going to agree with you, that are going to feel that, and they're going to empathize or sympathize or whatever. Like, you're going to see that connection in that way by sharing that. That's awesome. All right, so we're actually winding down here. It was a good conversation. I wish we could keep going. But you have a free gift for my audience?
I do. So I have a guided visualization. So it's an MP3 recording that you can download, and it's for creativity and inspiration. So it'll kind of take you on a little journey inside of yourself, inside your imagination, where you get to meet supporters on your journey. And it can be a really beautiful seed for like getting to the heart of your message, getting new ideas for what it is you want to create. So I'm happy to share that with you.
Awesome. So we'll have the link to that into the show notes. And thank you so much for joining us, Stephanie. It was a great conversation. Guys, I hope you got a lot out of it. And I hope to see you around. I hope that you check out Stephanie. I'll have all the links for you in the show notes. And I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All righty.